So Jason and I have been talking about the college quarterbacks ad nauseum for months. And nothing really is going to change with that until Senior Bowl happens, Combine happens. I've been thinking about it. And Jason, tell me if you agree with me on this. I think maybe we're getting a little too excited with the rookies. I mean, the great rookie quarterback on that rookie wage scale is the holy grail in the NFL. You want it. You want to be the Bills or the Kansas City Chiefs right now. But first of all, the Niners have the 12th pick. It's hard to get that guy right now. He may not be in this draft. Second of all, it's Shanahan's offense. It's long, it's complex. It's hard for anyone to learn in one offseason. Plus, we don't know what this offseason is going to be like. It could be like last offseason. There could be no OTAs. There could be no preseason or whatever. So if you're starting a rookie next year, you're almost saying you're willing to miss the playoffs again. Just in case, you might give away 3 games because he's a rookie. All I'm saying. So It's possible you draft the rookie, but he sits for a year. You know what I'm saying? And the starter next year is a vet. Now, I think both of us don't want that to be Jimmy Garoppolo. Fair?
I don't know. I wouldn't say I don't want it. I mean, it is a realistic thing, but I would prefer an upgrade at this point.
We would be open to an upgrade. So I think there's actually at least 10 vets who could be available for trade this year. And here's why. With the cap going down, all these veteran quarterbacks are too expensive for their current team. Like all of them. All these guys that signed these $60 million signing bonuses are now taking up 17, 18, 19, 20% of their teams. They have to either restructure or get traded. So there's this whole class of quarterbacks that are too expensive for their current team. But if you trade them under the same contract, they're actually kind of a bargain for their new team because that team doesn't take off on the prorated bonus. And that's where the Niners could strike. Instead of hoping Trey Lance can start year one, you could trade for one of these guys and he becomes more affordable. So what we can do is go through each guy and look at their contracts and see what makes sense. Yeah. So I'm just going to throw out a name and we'll shoot from the hip what we think, and then we'll look at the contract and then we'll move on. So first name I got for you is the obvious one. Deshaun Watson. I mean, he's the best guy available. He could go down as a Hall of Fame quarterback. He's exceptional. He also would cost 3 firsts, 3 seconds as a starter, and he'd be cheap in 2021, but expensive after that. Do you think that's something the Niners should pursue, or do you think they should let that one come to them?
Right. I mean, pursue it. Always make your calls. Do your due diligence. I think this front office has shown, even last year after a Super Bowl appearance, that they were open about flirting with Tom Brady and trying to figure out. And we talked about that, right? So if you're looking to upgrade in the offseason after a Super Bowl, how could you not be looking to upgrade after what we just saw this season, right? For all the people, saying that, well, Jimmy was injured. Well, week 1, he wasn't injured. And then, it's the same thing that goes back. Like, I see people telling me all the time about Trey Lance only playing 1 game in 2020, right? But we forget that he was ramped up like during the week, and he found out that week, right, that he was going to play. And people are like, oh, the excuses. I'm like, well, you afforded Jimmy G a lot of those excuses week 1, and he's been in the system, and he's an NFL quarterback. So if you're going to hold one person to it, you have to be able to try to upgrade this time, right? Deshaun Watson is that. We know it, right? Top 5 guy. This is the only top 5 guy that's out there. But all those picks are a lot, right? But, man, yes, I think the 49ers should be calling and trying to pursue and see what's going on. You have to – the reason that you call and pursue is because – you don't know what general managers are going to do on that other side. True. You don't know how they value people, right? Like when we see DeAndre Hopkins, obviously this is Bill O'Brien's work, right? But this is just an example. When you see DeAndre Hopkins get moved for David Johnson, you start to realize that anything's possible when you start to get in these people's heads, man.
Shoot your shot.
Right, yes. Exactly. Yeah. Like, why would you go to them and say, yeah, we'll give you 3 firsts? Why don't you just say, hey, look, we'll give you this, and a player for Watson. See if they bite, man. Like that's how it works, right? So there's no veto process. If the Texans wanted to trade Deshaun Watson for Mitch Wisnowski, the NFL is not going to step in and say, hey, this isn't the move, like that, So, yes, you have to pursue. You have to upgrade, and I'm glad you brought up the price tag. He's cheaper this year than the quarterback that's currently on the roster.
Oh, my God. He's would cost the Niners like $10 million in 2021. It's amazing. So here's real quick what I feel about Watson. Like, he's the best. And if it were Major League Baseball where there's no salary cap, you would go after the best because that's just the end of the story. He's the best. But football is different. It's not just the best player. It's also, do you like the picks you'd have to give up? Do you like the percentage of the cap you'd have to spend on him? And when you look at the whole, let's check him out right now.
Yeah.
Let's check him out right now. So here we go. Hold on. If you look at him, this is Watson here. He would be very cheap for the Niners because the prorated bonus is $5.4 million. The cap number is 15.9. That means he would cost the Niners $10.4 million in 2021. That's cheap. It goes up big time in 2022. It would cost them about $35 million. That's a lot. And then look at the difference between the pre-June 1 and the post-June 1 trades from Houston's perspective. Mm-hmm. It seems to me from Houston's perspective, they don't want to trade this guy. Mm-hmm. Maybe they would would they want to wait until after June 1 to get a quarterback, or would that just prevent them from getting a replacement? Because they'd save about $15 million in dead cap.
That's what scares me, honestly, about it, Grant. It's like, how can you willingly move a guy that you're going to wind up having on your books for that much money, right? Like that.
Exactly.
I mean, it's just,
you don't want to trade him anyway. And now you got to live with $21 million in dead cap while he's tearing it up wherever he plays. That's tough.
Right. And then, if the 49ers make this move for the reasons that you just stated, as far as his cap hit, you have to win that Super Bowl right there, that first year. Like that way. You have to win next year. Like there's no, let's see how it goes. If you bring in Watson at that number, you have to win, because down the line, you're going to have to make tougher decisions when it comes to paying different guys. And that's really where it comes in. Bring in Watson, win a Super Bowl, all that other stuff is whatever. You'll figure it out when you get there. But if you bring in Watson and you don't win a Super Bowl, now you're talking about like cutting down the roster, and that's when things get a little bit hairy. And I think that's what fans are skeptical of. It's never been about talent. I don't think the staunchest Jimmy G fan couldn't look you in the face and tell you with a straight face that they think that Jimmy G is better than Deshaun Watson. It's never really been a question about that. It's just a question about all the other things, which is, what we have an entire offseason to try to figure out.
So it seems to me, look, when I looked at that contract, the fact that they could save $15 million in dead cap by waiting till after June 1, that might be something the Texans want to do. So what they might want to do is trade Watson in June for picks in 2022 and a starter. I don't know who the starter would be. It might be Jimmy G. It might be Kirk Cousins. But that might be something they could save money, get picks, and have a starter. Or they might just really want Zach Wilson or Justin Fields. Maybe not. I think it's possible the Texans could drag their feet. And so let's play it out. Maybe the Niners could trade for Watson and keep their 2021 pick and trade later picks. Is that something you'd be into, or is this just getting too expensive for this guy?
Just for the 1 year and the shot, sometimes it's better to zoom in than zoom out, right? So I don't like to make sure that it moves, but I just understand that, with this guy under the roster on our team, it changes the way that you are building, right? Your team, right? Because, and I've been on the side of this, is that, a franchise quarterback can lift up bad O-line play, can lift up, defenses, right? Like how many years did Aaron Rodgers not have a defense where he was carrying them because he's that good, right? And then when you talk about pieces around him, Deshaun Watson down the stretch, he led the league in passing, was thrown to Jordan Akins, Kiki Cutie, Craig Hansen. That's not a wild group, he had Will Fuller for a little while. And when he went away, he still was good enough to, and then think about the play calling, right? Like the play calling is terrible. You're not running the ball, and Watson is still finding a way, so yeah, man, you bring him in and then you try to figure out the rest later on. I feel like,
that's fair. And here's one way you could figure it out. And it may sound crazy, but what you could do, because you can't, if you give Watson $40 million a year, $35 million a year, you're not going to have money to extend all these other players. Plus, you're going to need picks. So you could trade Deebo Samuel for a first in a couple of years. You could trade Nick Bosa for a couple of firsts in a couple of years. Those are moves you could do to finally get those picks back, considering you're probably not going to be able to afford Nick Bosa and Deshaun Watson at the same time at the height of their money-making power. So you can get those picks back. It seems actually more attainable. And really the thing that turns me off the most is his cap number, $35 million.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. So it's a good option. You can't overlook it. But let's go on some other players. There might be better options.